So I've worked inside of not only one, but also two six-figure-a-month marketing agencies. So agencies making over $100,000 per month from their clients. And today I'm going to break down some of these similarities that I noticed while working inside these agencies to bring them appointments when I ran my appointment setting agency, what they do differently, how they even get clients, their sales process, and how, if you're still trying to get your first client or whether you're at 10K a month, 20K a month, trying to scale aggressively, the strategies that you can implement in order to see success. Okay, so for a bit of context on how this actually happened before we dive into everything, when I first started my first appointment setting agency, didn't have anyone working for me. I didn't have any setters, didn't have any sales guys, didn't have any ops guys. So as I should have been, I was servicing each and every client that I signed on completely by myself. This, with my service of actually setting appointments for people, was a little bit peculiar because now it meant that I had to actually go into their agencies and work, which meant that even though, I might have had 2, 3, 4 clients, I was pretty much an employee for a bunch of companies. Luckily, a lot of those companies were marketing agencies already established past the 10, 20, and then even the 100K a month agencies. So I got to go in there and I got to learn a lot about not only the entrepreneur that was running it, because I worked very closely with them, but about their whole processes, the staff team, how setters worked, a lot enough for me to ramble on about for hours and hours. But in today's video, I'm going to put the key takeaways that someone who's still trying to get after their first client, maybe get to 10K a month, 20K a month, even up to 50K a month, can actually take away. And then I could do a later video in the future about how they actually use advanced scaling mechanisms and all that stuff. But right now, this video is going to be focused on the applications that you can make even if you're not at that level yet. So I'm going to start by minimizing myself because I'm not the important one here. The biggest expense that you're paying in your business is not the money or time that you are spending on anything, spending on ads, spending on services, whatever it might be. It is the information that you do not currently know. The reason why people pay for consultants levels above and why people pay for coaching is because when someone has done something, when someone's gone further along the path than you, they can look behind you and see all the things that you really can't see right now, right? If you are at point A right now and you want to get all the way to point B, right now, when you're at point A, you might only be able to see maybe this far. You might only see the next few steps in front of you. And because of that, you might end up taking paths that'll get you to this end destination right here, but won't get you to the actual point B where you want to go a lot quicker. So what these people acted as and what the information you do not know as is a guardian angel from above going like this and guiding you as to what steps to take, because maybe it might be a better option to go backwards and then shoot yourself up. Right? And you don't know that because you can't see, because you are in the game, right? It's like swimming. You don't know what's going on when you're, got chlorine in your eyes, you're swimming around, and it need to surface, take your head out of the water to actually see what's going on. And that is the first thing I'll say. Takeaway number one, I'm going to show you the person that these entrepreneurs that actually ran these companies, people that ran all the stuff actually were. Because, a lot of them had different routines, different everything, but there were some common traits between each and every one of them. First is that they were goal-focused individuals, right? Everything they did was in pursuit of an actual set goal, something that they wanted to achieve, whether that be superficial or not. They were always trying to actually get something. They were never aimless, right? And that goes into the next thing, which is objective perspectives on everything, right? They did a very good job of not letting emotion get into decisions, right? That happens over time from doing this over and over and over again, but they would also never make a decision when it felt emotional. Right? If they felt a certain way, if they felt excited about something, if they felt super negative about something, they would go and counsel other people. They would take the time needed to actually reassess the situation because they understood that you need an objective perspective, and they used data almost exclusively to decide what is actually going to go on. That being said, they were very, very open to trying new things, having new ideas come in their business and actually trying to evolve, contingent of data backing up it and actually being worthwhile, right? So if they wanted to roll out a new acquisition system, sure, they love that. That's exactly what they want to do. But it would have to be on the actual contingent of the fact that, hey, we need a new acquisition system right now. Hey, our current acquisition system is maxed out. So they'd always make sure that the data backs up everything that they do, and they try to let emotion get into absolutely nothing. Productivity and time use. So this is the one that you're probably interested in because you think there's a magic trick here. But they already had and finished their grind phase of working in their business, right? You might not be. I know I'm not. But they were past the phase where they need to spend 10, 12, 16 hours a day just sitting at their computer doing whatever it might be, even if it's not deep work the whole day. They had finished working in their business and had now gone to the phase where they were working on their business, right? They had service delivery done, they had acquisition done. And people like me, what they would do is they would spend their whole day educating themselves and get people like me to come in their business and test out new acquisition systems, hire agencies to do new things. And that is how they would spend their time. So they weren't actually working inside of their business to maintain things or to do tasks that don't really require any creative thinking. They were from the top, similar to our angel guy over here, guiding their own company, kind of like a chessboard, right? If you think of a chess game, I'll pull up right here. They were kind of like the actual player in a chess game, right? And their business was all the pieces, people that they work with, all their cards they could play, and they just spent their day moving chess pieces around, deciding what needs to go where and allocating energy, capital, and just overall time. And that was what they had done. So, in terms of how they worked, 2 to 4 hours a day max on the standard day, right? If there's a project that required 8 to 12, 10 hours, like go back to that grind phase, they'd be there 100% of the time. But in a lot of cases, it wasn't required of their time to actually do that. When they wanted to build out a new project, let's say they wanted to do Instagram appointment setting, which was what I specialized in. Instead of building out the whole thing themselves, they'd go, hey, Alex, can you do this? And boom, right? Because that was my service. I was in the grind phase, right? And now I'm in more of a leverage position where I'd have people do that for me, but that is the game. Go da-da-da-da. Lots of focus on ideas and decision making, right? So like I said, it's the chess game. In the chess game, you're not worried about how much it takes for the horse to actually move, how much energy it takes for the horse to move, if the horse is disciplined or not. You are only worried about the strategy and how that relates in correlation to beating the opponent and eventually winning the game for yourself. And that is exactly how they thought. Because of that, they spent a lot of time clearing out their minds, so making sure they had a lot of focus overall, so not, how they allocate their time during the day, but how they actually think, what their thoughts are centered around, and also their body, right? So making sure they feel good all the time, doing all this stuff, a lot of emphasis on health. I know Luke Belmar talks about it. Here to reinforce that is completely true. All these people spent a lot of time and money on their diet and exercising as well. So spent the majority of their workday educating themselves. So yeah, they would still sit down at the desk every morning just like you and I do, but instead of, going in and, checking the ads manager for your client, going in, messaging your team, going in, building out an SOP, what they would be doing is they go on and they maybe watch a podcast. Oh, maybe read a book. Oh, they might audit their strategy. Oh, they might look at spreadsheets, because all they were looking for was data to drive objective decisions, as I spoke about up here. And again, they all like to consume content, but there was no specific version of content that they like to consume. I had one guy who was an avid reader. He read maybe a book a week, which is absolutely ridiculous. There was guys who did podcasts. There was guys who just watched YouTube. And there was a guy who did reels, or didn't even care about podcasts, books, whatever it might be. He had just optimized his feed on every single social media to just be purely educational. So when he scrolled and he consumed short form content every day, he was just consuming information, giving him little nuggets, so he could make ideas and decisions. They're all just trying to do this to get a creative spark for their business and look for things on the external to influence the internal of what they were doing. Again, power of focusing the subconscious mind. So this was a weird one, right? This was a really weird one that I picked up on. Actually, sorry, I didn't pick up on it. I asked him about it and he explained it to me. So one of the guys, when he wanted to figure out something, let's say he wanted to figure out how to get more appointments, right? His sales is dialed, service delivery is dialed. How do I get more appointments to make more money? So what he would do is, instead of slamming his head against the wall all day, all he would do is make a very conscious effort, write down, hey, I want to get more appointments. Hey, I want to get more appointments. Hey, I want to get more appointments. And then from that, what he would do is he would consume content until the answer comes to him, right? So what he would do is he'd create the idea in his mind, create the objective in his mind that this void needs to be filled, and consume until the answer has arisen. And they all did this for every single problem that came up. And outside of that, this might be correlated to the work-life balance, and the fact that they had finished working in their business, they're working on their business. They had lots of values outside of work. So a lot of them only work 6 days a week. They take a dedicated day off, absolutely nothing, spend time on family, religion, travel, and they did not blur their work-life line, right? So they didn't, when they were at the beach, try and be that hustle business guy, open up their phone, call an employee, do something, do all that stuff. They were very clear about when they weren't working. And hey, a lot of us don't have the commodity right now, the ability to do that, but it's just something to note. And then along with that, extremely direct communication. These people did not beat around the bush. If something was wrong, they told you, regardless of whether good or bad. And through doing that, they resolved problems a lot quicker because they were not scared of actually going into conflict, difficult situations. Something that I did is I'd like to beat around the bush a lot, especially with appointment setters when I was first starting. Go, hey, maybe if you could kind of do this and maybe you can try that. These guys would just say, hey, this isn't looking good. What can you do to fix it? Right? Through doing that, they got over and got communicated what they wanted done a lot quicker. And here, you have an image of Warren Buffett reading, because that is a very extreme example of what these people were like. They might not be as wealthy as Warren Buffett, but Warren Buffett notoriously spends a lot of time every single day reading and consuming information. These guys were the exact same, even though they were only worth, a couple million. I think he were worth 8 figures, and then he was worth billion. It's a few billion now, so it's ridiculous, right? But the point is that they spend a lot of time consuming information and have very objective perspectives when it comes to making decisions based on data. Takeaway 2, over here, data tracking. So they have spreadsheets correlating to every single important metric that they make decisions based off of. So let's say we're doing fulfillment and acquisition. I'm going to focus on acquisition because that is what's relevant to most people watching this video. How many messages they send in outreach, right? How many yes, how many no, how many booked appointments, how many working scripts, what part of the script works, what part does. They have a flow chart, right? Going down and down and down. I'll diagram it for you. So they have a flow chart that goes like this, da, 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 da. And what they would do is they would go, hey, someone stopped here, someone stopped here, someone stopped here. And they track where each person stops on this metric, diagram it so they can see, hey, lots of people are getting down here, but then everybody's saying no right here. So we need to attack this, we need to fix this. And that's how they would do outreach when they did sales, right? After every single call, they track the prospect's age, gender, race, company type, estimated revenue, what package they were interested in, what could actually help them, what objection they had if they didn't close, where they got booked from, and just track absolutely everything that's going to relate to a decision that they're going to make in the future. Because again, going back up to this, they were completely objective and, well, not completely objective, they were objective as possible and as data-driven as possible in the decisions that they made. So if we go down here, again, leads to highly informed decisions about data, and they rant about seeing success with iteration loops. So I'll explain what that is. So let's say you want to learn how to do outreach, right? Let's say you have one client, maybe you have a few clients. This is completely relevant to you if you also have no clients. You want to learn how to get a dialed outreach script that's getting you 1, 2, 3 appointments per day, right? If I were to be in the position of somebody who's still trying to get their first client, I would go back and I get my first client a lot faster than somebody who's never gotten a client before. That is not because I have some magic trick. It's just because I have knowledge that the person who's still trying to get their first client does not have. And that goes back down to iteration loops, right? The reason why someone says, hey, send 10,000 outreach messages and you will see success is not because the messages themselves are what allow them to see success, right? If you wanted to say, hey, you want me to get 10K a month, you want me to get 5K a month, I'd be able to do that in a lot less messages than someone who didn't have any experience. And the only reason why is because I've gone through these iteration loops, right? And that's just a circle, but I'll show you what the iteration loop looks like, right? A lot of people, the typical one is, hey, message, right? So all you want to do is just send outreach, right? Send outreach, send outreach, send outreach. Everyone says that, but why? Why does someone want to send outreach? Why should somebody send outreach day in, day out? What will it teach you, right? What it's going to teach you is the strategies that work, what objections to handle, how to have good tonality when you actually get them on a call, how to send a good video message. So it's not about the actual input. It is about the knowledge derived from the output. Let me repeat that. It is not about the input that is actually put in. It's about the knowledge that you derive from what you take out, right? So you're not going to see success by just sending out 10,000 outreach messages and not learning anything, but it's through sending 10,000 outreach messages that you gain enough knowledge to have a system that works. Right? So if you want to learn extra fast, you want to learn outreach a lot faster than someone who's never done outreach before, all you have to do to hack the system here is to figure out how to extract more knowledge per outreach. So right now you have a 1-to-1 return. Let's say you gain 1 bit of outreach per 100 messages. You gain 1 nugget of information per 100 outreaches, right? That's a pretty bad ratio. But if you take the actual effort to track everything, to audit everything, you are now going to be gaining, let's say, 25 bits of knowledge per 100 outreaches. And through doing that, you get disproportionate returns, which send you through the loop of iteration a lot faster, which means that you're going to learn everything a lot quicker than somebody who just blindly sends messages every day. And the best way to retain information and to learn is to have tracking, this meticulous tracking that I went over right over here, especially in relation to your outreach. The fourth thing or third thing that I'll finally say is agility in action, right? So everything they did fast. But if they had an idea, it was executed upon, it was being taken action upon within the same day. They lingered around. If they had conversations about an idea, it wasn't worth it, and they knew that. Or if they had to think about it, if they had to counsel about it, if they had to talk to somebody about it, wasn't worth actually doing. And when they had something they wanted to do, took aggressive action, learning, analyze the data, go through the iteration loop, and find the next target. So even at that level, right, there are things that they don't know, right? That's the price they're paying as per this quote up here. And it's a very big expense in their business. So what they have to do is they have to track absolutely everything possible so that they can go through the iteration loop as painlessly as possible, gain as many bits of knowledge so that they can be the same as somebody who's a level higher than them. And that is one of the big things that I took away from them. Along with that, here's a quote that if you just want to summarize everything about speed, you can do. We're going to make a 2-month plan. You're going to cut the fat, figure out how to do it in 1 month. You're going to take the first principles of that 1 month, figure out how to do that in 2 weeks. You're going to take those 2 weeks, you're going to do it in 1 week. And that is how they would do it. They draw conclusive data from that, find a new target, and repeat. And that is how they did everything, right? That is how they decided and made every decision in their business. And it's almost like taking shots, right? So what they do is they had a target. Say this is our target. This is our goal over here. what they would do is, let's say I'm going to make myself smaller so I can diagram this properly. So let's say they were over here. This is our start part. So from this point, they'd have their little gun to shoot. So instead of taking a PB action going, hey, maybe they shoot to here, right? They know it's in the right direction. They don't know where they're going, right? Instead of shooting to here and then maybe shooting up here and make a bad decision and taking these small shots, that's not what they would do. They would go, screw taking the small shots. I'm going to shoot for the stars. And they go boom, 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 boom. They might miss their target, but now they're here, right? They're a lot closer than they were before that. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, they might miss it again, but they take incredible action. So they're always moving around and actually taking these incredible actions, getting incredible results. And after a while, they're going to collect the data to the point when they take a shot, boom, 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 they hit their target. And that's how they acted. So instead of taking these baby steps and trying to get places, they would take incredible action and then use the data to schedule to target their next shot. And through doing that, they go through iteration loops a lot quicker. The way they do that is through data. So what I need you to do is, if you're still trying to get your first client, I want you to make sure, and if you're still watching this video, I appreciate you. I'd like to say that. What I want to make sure you do is really track everything you're doing right now. If you're trying to get your first client, if you're trying to get your first few clients, if you're trying to dial your outreach, if you're trying to scale to 10K a month, every single thing you do with your outreach, everything you should do with your sales, with everything you're doing needs to be tracked, needs to be put in a place where you can go look at it and go, just like here, Warren Buffett, just like this guy over here, based on this data, I know that the next shot we should take is going to be so-and-so. And eventually through doing that, you're going to hit your target. It's a lot better than the swim in with your eyes in chlorine and not being able to see where you're going, which a lot of people do, and I did for a very long time. So I hope you found this valuable. And if you did, all I ask is that you check out my Instagram.